we go, people. Can you believe this is happening? The first ever episode of the Ade Show. We've made it. Not just me, the green chair as well. This baby has come a long, long way. All right, guys, so what this is a show where I have some of the best guests, some friends that come down, and we don't just talk boxing. We talk football, we talk basketball, we talk athletics, we talk everything, because you guys know I love my sports as well. We're going to have a couple of guests from the Premier League that are going to join us as well. And at the end of the show, we're going to answer your questions that have been flooding in. So trust me, stick with us, because this is the kind of show that you really want to watch. All right, first guest. I call this man Nostradamus, because I'm not even playing with you. This guy predicts the future of boxing. Tell you one thing that he predicted, AJ Franklin, months ago. I was like, you're crazy, never going to happen. It's happened. Let me introduce him now. Base the Kid in the building. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Ade, man. I appreciate you bringing me down.
I appreciate you coming on. Before we talk, me and you just off camera, we're talking about boxing movies. Have you seen Creed?
The new, yeah.
You've seen it, yeah? Go on, out of 10. Be honest.
I give it a 7.5. I liked it.
How?
Do you know what it is? I like the storyline. I feel like even though there's a lot of things in it that we don't believe as actual boxing fans, just as a particular film, the case study between the two main characters, the pain, the antagonist, protagonist dynamic, and the way that all the characters have grown, I appreciate it.
So you're thinking that if we weren't boxing fans, if we were just going to the cinema as normal cinema goes without our hardcore boxing hat on, we'd give it a 7.5.
Or maybe even better. Or you might even give it a little bit less, but a lot of the things that I know some people have issues with within the community who understand the sport and dynamics, weight classes and stuff, they'll give those things a pass. So I liked it.
Okay, it is what it is anyway. All right, let's talk about the boxing schedule we've got coming up, because you know what, you look at the run that we're going to have from, I guess you can start really now until May 6th. We've just obviously heard the announcement of Canelo Ryder. I think it's a decent run. I think it's a very decent run. Of that, like, what excites you the most when you look at what we've got coming? So, I mean, it's not just the zone stuff. You've got Joyce versus Yili Zhang. I saw a little face-off between the two monsters today. Lawrence Okoli, Boatsi's back. What excites you the most?
I can't lie. Joyce Zhang, that is the fight I'm actually looking forward to the most.
How dare you? This is the zone.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm going to be at the AJ Franklin fight, but I'm going to be at Joyce Zhang as well.
That's a good one.
I just have a feeling that, like you said, carnage, someone is going to sleep, and we're going to find out how good Joyce's chin really is.
Yeah, I was in the Middle East when Zhang, for me, beat Hrgovic.
Yeah.
So this is a Zhang, although the record books say he didn't, this is a Zhang kind of a win against Hrgovic. So that shows you how good he is. Because everyone said Hrgovic was Ivan Drago, to use a Rocky phrase again. So I think that's a good fight. I'm super excited about Tank versus Garcia. I'm super, just because, look, I think Tank wins, and I think Tank could sleep in, but it's big time boxing. It's the kind of fight where you know it's going to be sold out, it's going to be big numbers, you're going to see celebrities around the ring. It's got that big feel to it for me. That's what excites me.
Okay.
Go on.
I think it's a good fight. I do. But I don't know if it's the mega fight everyone's claiming it is. Realistically, you've got Tank, who's never done more than 300,000 pay-per-views in the US. I don't think he's actually hit 300,000. You've got Ryan, who's never been on pay-per-view. For us to know what his marquee power is, we don't know if his social media following translates into actual viewers and subscribers.
Isn't it a case of they finally both have a dance partner, though?
Well, possibly, but hopefully that is what you need to then get to a big number of pay-per-views. But again, because we've never seen one of them do even half of, I guess, a big gate, we just don't know. So
shout, you're right, because I mean, back in the day, I mean, if it was Floyd, you could say Floyd has done 1 million. Yeah. So we know that Floyd versus anyone's going to do 1 million because Floyd's done 1 million. You are correct. Tank's never done over 300. Ryan hasn't been on pay-per-view. Yeah. So we're just assuming that these two can come together and create magic, when who knows how it's going to play out, right? You just don't know. Yeah,
but I do hope it's a good fight, and I definitely will be looking forward to it. If we got to pay for it over here, hey, I'll get the bank card out. I ain't got a problem with that.
No, it's a good fight. AJ Franklin coming up. It's weird how quick that's coming up. Yeah. Because obviously I went to the press conference and spoke to AJ, and it felt like, okay, we've still got about a month and a half. Now all of a sudden AJ's going to be over here next week to get ready for it, right? And I'm like, what's happening? And it's a must win, and not just a must win. And this is the way I feel about it. You might be different. It's a must look good as well for me. It can't just a case of you win and you scrape over the line with a unanimous points decision. You got to knock him out for me.
No, I agree. I don't think it can be too early, because then everyone's gonna say, oh well, we didn't know it. We didn't see anything that we didn't already know. Yeah. Or he's just washed anyway. We need kind of like at least 5 rounds of good quality work. Yes. So anywhere between 5 and 8, and a strong KO, not a ref stoppage, like strong,
put to sleep.
Yeah, put to sleep, then you can say, all right, he's back. If he drops him several times, then the ref's like, okay, no, we got to call it off. You can survive that as well. But anything more than 8 rounds and it starts to get techie.
Yeah. I mean, Eddie and look, not just Eddie, Joe Markowski said, okay, with AJ, and look, we haven't seen this before, so we haven't seen it for years. 3 fights this year. And we keep hearing that of AJ, and all of a sudden it turns into 1. But there is talk about this one. There's talk about a Dillian White in the summer. There's talk about one of the big boys in the winter. Do you think that does happen? Do you think we are going to see 3, regardless if it's one of the big boys? Do you think AJ will be out 3 times this year?
I think we'll get the 3 fights. I just don't think we're going to get the 3 fights we want. That's my opinion.
No, I trust your opinion because you are Nostradamus. I mean, you picked AJ Franklin, so you know what you're talking about. It's funny because I wanted White now. The idea of a White in the summer as though that's some sort of prize for beating Franklin. I was like, oh, White now. And I do wonder what White's doing because I spoke about this the other day. Like, we haven't seen Dillian White since the Franklin fight. And there was talk about White versus Ottavolen. There was talk about White Hergovich. They even talk about White versus Ngannou. Is White fighting? You know White. Is he fighting? Or what's going on with him?
I mean, I don't think they're going to risk it, if I'm honest. I would have preferred, like you, for him to fight someone. But I'm also thinking if he was going to fight, there's no point in him fighting Valine if the next fight's supposed to be AJ after that. Because the styles, White
fight a southpaw.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Ngannou thing for me would have actually been a great shout for him. It's something to keep busy with. It can make him a lot of money and potentially it's the least amount of risk because obviously you want him to make it to the next fight. And as he is at the moment, with obviously the frailty that we've seen with the chin and everything, we can't guarantee that any decent fighter that he fights, he's going to beat.
And by the way, you're talking anyone in the top 20.
Exactly.
So I'm not talking a top 10 guy. Anyone in the top 20 right now.
Yeah.
I mean, like Jared Anderson.
Oof.
Do you know what I mean? That's the reaction. Yeah. That's how hard it is for Dillian White right now. So I'm with you. We got some big news on the weekend. Obviously, I was in Liverpool, and the big news, we kind of heard the whispers anyway, but Katie Taylor will move up to 140 to take on Chantel Cameron. And Katie Taylor's got some, you know what, man? Yeah. I mean, she doesn't back down from anything. Nope. Like Serrano, no? Okay, who next? Chantel Cameron at 140, let's go. You've got to respect that.
I do. But you know what? Here's the thing, right? I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to be brutally honest.
That's why you're on here.
I know. I like that fight, but I don't love it. And I'll tell you why I don't love it.
No, tell me why you like it first.
Okay, I like it because Chantel is accomplished. She deserves the shot, and she's definitely going to give Katie a run for her money. Right, that's why I like it, and it's not like we just saving a date with any
no,
cherry
not at all.
Like it's a legit fight.
Yeah, I mean Chantel can beat Katie.
Exactly.
Okay, why don't you love it then?
The reason I don't love it is because I feel like this is a no-lose, win-win situation for Katie Taylor. Because if she wins, two-weight undisputed champion gets all the marbles. If she loses, there's a built-in excuse.
But if she loses, can she then go to the Serrano fight?
She could do.
You think if she loses, the Serrano fight's still attractive?
Yeah, because she goes back down to 135 and is still undisputed at 135. What I would have preferred, and I put this even on Twitter, I would have rather Chantel had some way where she could have said, look, let's put this fight at 135 and put every single belt on the line. Yeah. Winner takes all, because that way then everyone's got something to lose and it just ups the stakes. To me, that would have made it a great fight rather than just a good fight.
It's interesting actually, because maybe there is something in what you're saying about she can still fight Serrano, because I mean, you look at Canelo losing to Bivol. Still went down and kept his belts at 168 and fought Golovkin.
Yeah,
it didn't hamper him in any way. Right, the numbers were actually still very good for him versus Golovkin. So maybe you're correct. Maybe even if she loses and it's close, well, yeah, I went up to 140 though and challenged the unbeaten champion. Yeah. No shame in losing to excuse. Her. Yeah.
I'm not saying she'll take that excuse, but it's built in. You
do you expect Chantel to beat Katie in Ireland? Homecoming. Tell you now, she ain't getting on the judges' scorecard.
Do you know what? It's gonna be a very, very sticky fight. She can beat her.
Yeah, she can.
And I'm not even just talking knockout. Like she could theoretically dominate
to the point where you have to give it to her.
Yeah, just because like if you beat her up in a couple rounds and she's in survival mode type situation. But realistically, stylistically, Katie Taylor has got the style to beat Chantel. Chantel doesn't have the style, but she's got the size and the grit, determination, and that's could be what ends up winning that for her. But I will be watching.
It's a great fight. It's a great fight. It continues that trajectory of good female fights that we've had in the last
100%.
sort of 2 and a bit years. It's been fantastic. undisputed fights as well. It's crazy how many belts. I mean, the sanctioning bodies are getting paid. They're getting paid because there's like 8 belts everywhere floating around. Quick one on Diego Pacheco. I was there. I interviewed him in the ring. Looks like a talent. Obviously, it's difficult because we all know where Jack Cullen is. Let's be honest. It's a British level fighter. But you still got to get rid of that level fighter. Do you know what I mean? So even if they're British level, show me their British level.
Yeah.
And I think Pacheco showed that he's way above that. And that's I'm not going to say world level, but fringe world level.
Yeah, he's on his way. He's definitely on his way. Like Pacheco, of all of the stars that Eddie signed, you know, in that initial DAZN USA, Matchroom USA
Where
run.
are they?
Yeah. A lot of them are still there.
Okay.
But what they're actually doing, I can see a lot of them, they're just on different cards around the globe. So they're not all on the US cards anymore.
Yeah.
But he is the standout of that group, him and maybe Raymond Ford.
Yes. And Ray Ford's foot over here as well.
Exactly.
I like what Eddie's doing. Let's take them out of their comfort zone. Let them travel. Let them get used to being in different gyms, different environments, and let's see how they work.
And ultimately, that's how they're going to build their brand as well, because they'll get put in front of fresh eyes that won't always will sit up till 4 o'clock to watch them, or 3 o'clock, whatever.
Yeah. John Ryder, happy for him. Really am. Know him personally, great guy. But you get the call to fight Canelo, which is fantastic, right? Fighters are fighters. You're going to get the call. You're going to get paid 7 figures. But then you're told you have to go to Mexico. So not Vegas, not the Middle East, not... Because there was talks about Canelo coming to London. Not London, Mexico. If it wasn't hard enough already, it's got harder.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've got nothing but respect for John Ryder. You know, he's been screwed out of some very unfair decisions in his time. I mean, he got the gift decision against Danny Jacobs, but, you know, they say sometimes you get your luck paid back to you. What
goes around comes around.
Exactly. With this one, like, it's almost an impossible task, but if anyone is going to go and give it their all, it's him. But I agree with you. It should have been either at the Mecca for his own legacy, or it should have been over here, because that was what we was promised. But I guess due maybe to the Premier League extending, that put a kibosh on some stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And I do feel sorry for John a little bit here. Look, first of all, he's getting a shot at Canelo. I know it's a bit of a mandatory position there, but he's getting a shot regardless. But you want your name lit up in the strip. Do you know what I mean? Like you want to see your name on the big billboard down Vegas. All your friends and family can come over. He tells everyone he's going to Mexico. There'll be a lot of people say, I'm kind of busy, May 6. What, May 6? Kind of busy.
Not even Cancun. It's Guadalajara.
You're going Guadalajara. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be difficult, but good luck to him. Final one, Fury Usyk. We are, 5 weeks away or so until it supposedly happens. 5-6 weeks away. April 29th, we're hearing. Does it happen? Yay or nay?
Nay.
Ooh. Nostradamus has spoke, people. Nostradamus.
I just don't think enough has been done. There's still things that they're ironing out. Yeah, I just can't see. I think they're going to try and move it, and then a mandatory is going to get put onto Usyk.
Wow.
That's what I see.
Wow. All right, look, so much going on in the boxing world, so much going on in the football world as well. Earlier on, I caught up with Premier League presenter Alex Aljo to go through everything that's going on, top, bottom, middle, the lot. Look at this. My first ever Premier League football presenter on the show, Alex Aljo, joins us now. Alex, really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very, very much. First question, easy question to kick things off. Who's going to win the league, Arsenal or City?
Firstly, thank you for having me on. It's an honour to be here, Ade. Great to see you. The million-dollar question to begin with. So I think when Arsenal lost to Manchester City at the Emirates, that was at the end of a little blip for them when results weren't going their way. Everyone thought that Manchester City was sort of just going to take over and cruise to the end of the season. But that's not the case, is it? It looks like Arsenal are playing like champions again. They were absolutely brilliant at Craven Cottage at the weekend. And 14 different goal scorers in the Premier League as well. So goals coming from all over the pitch. And the players weren't really talking about winning the Premier League title, but now they are. And I think that says a lot. Martin Odegaard came out and said that they have 11 finals left now and they really want to win the Premier League. And I think Mikel didn't want to talk about winning the Premier League, but he is now as well. And yeah, it'd be huge for them. First Premier League title since 2004.
It shocks me. Like, I have to be brutally honest. I didn't expect this. I expected Arsenal to maybe make a top 4 charge. Even with the incomings in the summer, I didn't think the squad was old enough, mature enough, and if I'm honest with you, good enough to challenge the likes of Man City, Liverpool, and Tottenham under Antonio Conte. How surprised have you been with Arsenal this season?
Yeah, such a young squad. As you say, they don't have the experience like Manchester City have, but they've been really clever with their signings. So obviously bringing in players that have been there, done it before, like Alex Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus, who is now back, by the way. He almost scored off the bench at Craven Cottage. And then look what they did in January as well. Leandro Trossard, hat-trick of assists at the weekend. And Jorginho as well, exactly what they needed to provide that backup in the midfield. So I think their signings have been really, really good this season. Maybe at the start of the season with the squad they had, you could have said that, maybe they don't have what it takes. But I think looking at that squad, they do have the right players if they want to go all the way and win the Premier League.
Yeah, they certainly do. Man City, currently 5 points off them. Some people have said it's not the same Man City we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years. I would say that they're still very good. Arsenal just, again, have surprised people. What have you made of Man City this season? Obviously, they've decided to get rid of a few. Jesus going, Sterling going. And up front, they've got this machine, this Terminator-like in Haaland. I mean, right now, what's he got? 39, 40 goals? It's ridiculous.
39 goals in all competitions, 28 in the Premier League, which is actually more than 8 Premier League sides. So he's scored more on his own than 8 Premier League teams, including Chelsea as well, which is absolutely unbelievable. I think people were saying, is Erling Haaland actually a hindrance for Manchester City? Does he actually fit into the City team? Did Pep actually want him? But look, the numbers just speak for themselves. I think he was asked after that Leipzig game when he scored 5, whether he was brought in to win the Champions League. He didn't want to say it, but he eventually did end up saying, yeah, I was, because they won the Premier League 4 times in the last 5 seasons without me. So obviously I was the missing link, what they needed to win the Champions League. And I think that's another interesting thing, because I think if you asked any of those players, the Champions League is their priority.
Yeah.
So maybe when it comes down to those final few matches at the end of the season, the Premier League is clearly Arsenal's absolute priority, all the eggs in that basket, whereas I think all Manchester City's eggs are in the Champions League basket. So maybe that will make a difference come the end of the season.
Yeah, there's going to be a bit of juggling for both, right? Because Arsenal's still in the Europa League as well. Man City, as you say, in the Champions League, in the FA Cup. So you wonder how they're going to juggle those competitions towards the end of the season. It's not just a battle for first place, it's a battle for fourth place as well, that coveted sort of Champions League spot. And it does look like it's one space now, because I'm saying United are there, aren't they? United are going to qualify. Yeah. So it's one space between really Newcastle, Spurs and Liverpool. I don't want to discount Brentford, Fulham and Brighton, but really and truly it's those 3. Liverpool looks like they were on a roll to get it, and then all of a sudden Bournemouth say, no, let's stop you right there. So it's going to be interesting now how this one plays out between those big 3 clubs.
That sums up the old cliche, doesn't it? Anything can happen in the Premier League. We hear it all the time. But that 7-0 win, Liverpool against Manchester United, then a week later losing to Bournemouth, that just says all really. Anything can happen in the Premier League. And it's funny because I was speaking to Moises Caicedo at Brighton, and he said to me, you know what, I think we can actually finish in those Champions League spots this season. And I sort of said, like, really? But obviously without being rude, I was sort of questioned, like, do you actually? Yeah. He was like, yeah, it's our objective, and that's what the manager's telling us. That's what we're manifesting. And I interviewed 2 more Brighton players like a couple of days later, Lallana after he signed his new contract and Pervis Estupiñán, and they both said the same thing. Because I said, your teammate Moises was saying he thinks you're going to be playing Champions League football next season. And they both, looking at me with serious faces said, yeah, that's our goal, that's our aim. So I think really exciting. I think Tottenham would like to think they can finish in 4th spot. And if they don't, then it's going to be an absolute disaster of a season for Antonio Conte's Tottenham. No trophy yet again, and missing out the top 4. They made the top 4 last season at the expense of Arsenal. But yeah, imagine if Tottenham didn't end up finishing 4th. I think right now I'd say Tottenham will finish 4th. And Chelsea are even saying now, they're the resurgent Chelsea team could finish in 4th. I think unlikely, but you never know. And that's what makes it so exciting.
It's a strange one for Newcastle because expectations change throughout the season. It was a time when I thought Newcastle were going to make top 4 and potentially win the Carabao Cup. They got beat comprehensively, I think it's fair to say, in the Carabao Cup. Now, looks like they might not make top 4. And I think Eddie Howe's done a fantastic job. But these rich owners expect stuff, don't they? They expect Champions League football. They expect silverware. Pressure's on already, and it shouldn't be, but pressure will be on to make sure that they finish high, at least in European spots this season.
Yeah, it just shows how quickly things can change, doesn't it? I think maybe that League Cup final defeat was really damaging for Eddie Howe and for his players. You saw at the final whistle just how much it meant to them. You saw Bruno Guimaraes in tears, when they lost the final. So maybe that had an effect on them. Maybe the confidence is low, but I think it's looking unlikely now that they'll finish in fourth spot. But still, how far they've come, you have to look at their season. They've been absolutely brilliant, and they haven't signed the big names. They haven't spent huge amount of money, but they've made some great signings, and they've got the foundations for success next season, even if they don't finish in fourth. And if they're playing European football next season, then surely that'll be a success for them, won't it?
Agreed. I mean, this Newcastle side with a couple more signings, I think can go at least top 4 again next season. And then who knows when it comes to winning their first trophy in what feels like 1,000 years. All right, anyway, look, forget top 4, forget Premier League title. The best race is at the bottom of the Premier League.
That's where it's at.
That is where it's at, Alex, because I have no idea who's going down. Like from Crystal Palace down, it's so tight. I don't know what's going to happen in the Premier League.
Yeah, forget the title race, forget Arsenal, forget Manchester City. It's all about the battle at the bottom, isn't it?
And that's what makes the Premier League, I guess, so exciting because, again, you do have these...
League in the world,
it's the best
Ade.
league in the world because it literally is until the last day of the season. I mean, no disrespect to, your Derby Counties and your Norwiches who always seem to be cut adrift. This could go down to the last game of the season. I don't want to put you on the spot, Aljo, because I know you go to all the press conferences, you speak to the managers, but who do you think is going to go? I mean, do you have a banker in your mind that, okay, look, they might go? I don't want to get you in trouble with anyone, Alex, but go on.
So I'm thinking Southampton are going to go. I was at St Mary's for Southampton Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I think that's the moment Leicester realised they were in trouble as well.
Yeah.
Maybe before that game they thought, oh, we'll be all right, and then they lose to Southampton. That was a huge win for Southampton, but I still don't think from their performance they look like a team that's going to stay in the Premier League.
Yeah. I'm not afraid. Can I give you my 3? I'll just say it. I'll say it. And
give
look,
me your 3.
The managers can send me an email if they want. I think one of the big boys is going. So I think Everton, Leeds or West Ham, one of those is going. So I know Bournemouth have done well.
Keep them up, surely.
I think Dyche keeps them up. So I'm going Leeds to go. I'm going Bournemouth and Southampton to go as well.
Leeds, Bournemouth, Southampton.
Yeah, that's my 3.
Okay, I'm going to go Bournemouth, Forest.
Because they can't win away from their ground. Go on. Who else?
And then I'm going to throw this one out there because I've just heard that both Vicente Guaita and Sam Johnson are injured. So they've got a teenager in goal.
You're not going Palace.
I'm going to go Palace.
We're going to clip this up. We're going to remember this. This is getting clipped up.
But that would be horrendous for the club.
Horrendous.
Imagine Palace going down.
You can't get rid of Roy Hodgson.
The Vieira project, it just shows how quickly things change in football. When he took over, everyone's calling it the Vieira revolution, and he's the greatest manager the club's ever had. And then suddenly, pressure's on Vieira. It's not working anymore. He needs to go back to playing how they used to play. So I think you can never be too happy as a manager because you never know when your next crisis is coming. You
can never know. Alex, great stuff.
I said it.
As always, you said it. You're there. It's clipped. It's going to be...
You say as always. It's my first time on.
First time on, and she's giving me predictions about Patrick Vieira. I can't believe it. Alex, appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you soon.
Cheers. All right, the most important part of the show, and it really is, because it's the way you guys at home get involved, because you guys have been sending in your questions to me in your hundreds, and I mean hundreds, and I'm going to try and answer as many as possible. Now, if you're wondering how you get your questions in, it's simple. You can tweet me, Ade_Oladipo1, and hashtag it, The Ade Show, or you can tweet at DAZN Boxing, and again, hashtag your question, The Ade Show, and your question, if you're lucky, will be read out like these right now. All right, let's do it. First one. John from Welling says, Ade, do you think Jake Paul will ever fight Nate Diaz in MMA? Firstly, good question. I mean, look, it's possible now that Jake Paul signed this deal with the PFL, but I'd be very, very surprised if he risks it with Nate Diaz. I mean, Nate Diaz in MMA is legit. I think it's more likely we're going to see Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz in a boxing ring. Obviously, Jake Paul looks like he's going to run it back with Tommy Fury, but if he gets past Tommy Fury, then I think we might get Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz sometime in 2023. That's a big fight, by the way, very big fight. So in the octagon, no chance. In the ring, possible. All right, Richie from Croydon. Big fan of you, Ade. Love the green chair. I like you already, Richie. Of all the fights scheduled so far in 2023, Which one are you most excited for? It's got to be the undisputed. Well, actually, let me rein that back a bit. You said fight scheduled. I was going to say the undisputed heavyweight title fight between Tyson Fury and Usyk. But as we record this today, that's not scheduled. It's not there. It's nowhere to be seen. So in terms of fights scheduled, and then it has to be Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. The biggest fight of 2023. It's a fight that's going to do crazy numbers. I'm going to Vegas. Your boy's going out there as well. So I'm going to say Ryan Garcia versus Tank. Of all the fights scheduled so far, is the biggest fight of 2023. All right, Sandra from Swindon says, who is the real GOAT? Ooh, I like this one. Clarissa Shields or Katie Taylor? Boy, that's a tough question. I've always said it's 1A, 1B. And I've never said which one's 1A, which one's 1B. I'm going to say, and this might be controversial, I'm going to say Katie. Now, hold on a bit. The reason I'm saying it is because I think Katie has fought better opposition. It's not Clarissa's fault. You look at who Clarissa could fight at 154, 160 or 168, and she just doesn't have the same pool of fighters to choose from that Katie does at 130, 135 or 140. That's why I'm saying Clarissa. That's why I'm saying Katie. Some of you might argue and say, one second, Ade, Clarissa's double undisputed, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, and you're correct. But in the pro-game, I just think that Katie has fought better opposition. It's close. Again, 1A, 1B. It's that close. Michael, Liverpool fan, do you think we'll make top 4? And if we do, will we sign Jude Bellingham? Most of you know that I'm a Liverpool fan, right? I am, 110%. You can't see it right now, but I've got a picture of the big man over there, Jurgen Klopp. So I'm certainly a Liverpool fan. Do I think we'll make top 4? Heart says yes, head says no. Head says no because we've been so inconsistent. I mean, we beat Manchester United 7-0. We lost to Bournemouth 1-0. I mean, what's going on? What's going on? The funny thing is, obviously, your question's a 2-part question. In order to sign Jude, we have to make top 4. We have to. Jude isn't coming to us if we're playing Europa League football. Why are you gonna come to Liverpool, play Europa League football when you can go to Real Madrid and play Champions League football? So I think we have to make top 4 to sign Jude. So I'm going with we'll make top 4. All right, a couple more here. Jason from Texas says, I know you're a big wrestling fan, Ade. Yes, I am. Let me quickly plug the fact that DAZN has AEW wrestling. Give me your top 5 of all time. Boy, oh boy, that ain't easy. Top 5 wrestlers of all time. See, I'm a bit old, so I go a bit WWF. I go a bit old school for you people. I'm going to go The Rock. The Rock bought it. I know he was only... Funny thing is, Rock was only there for a small period of time. I'm going to go The Rock. Taker's got to be there. Undertaker has to be in your top... If Undertaker isn't in your top 5, give your head a wobble. So I'm going Taker, number 2. I am going to go Ric Flair, number 3. Oh, man. This is difficult. Okay, wait. Stone Cold, number 4. And number 5, I am going with Bret the Hitman Hart. There you go. It's a great... That 5, if that's not your 5, then you don't know wrestling. Stanislas from Enfield. Ade, who are your top 5 pound for pound male fighters right now? Tough question. That's a tough question. The first one's easy. Usyk. Alexander Usyk right now is the best fighter walking planet Earth with a gap. So I'm going to say Usyk, number 1. Inoue, number 2, fights Fulton. That's a great fight, by the way. Number 3, people are going to disagree. I understand, but I'm going to go Terence Crawford as number 3. Number 4, you might disagree with me again, but I'm going to go for the guy that was number 1 for so many years, is still the undisputed at 168. That is Canelo. And number 5, number 5. You know, there's so many undisputeds out there right now, but number 5, I'm going to go with a guy that I think gets disrespected and it shouldn't happen, Jermell Charlo. That's my top 5. All right, Jeremy Fulham from Peckham says, be honest with this, Ade. I'm always honest. I know DAZN were part of the film. What would you score Creed out of 10? I actually watched this the other day. And look, my honesty hopefully doesn't get me in trouble. 2. Rubbish. Didn't like it at all. A 2. It had all the makings of something good. The only reason I'm giving it as a 2 is because my boy Tony Bellew was in it. but I'm going to go 2. It had all the makings of something very special, and then it just kind of fell flat for me. Yeah, fell flat. I thought Creed 1 was really good. Creed 2 was okay. This was the worst out of the lot. Smithy from Tottenham. Who do you think is the most exciting young player in the Premier League? It has to be Saka, doesn't it? But if we're going outside the box a little bit, because Saka's the obvious choice, I'm going to go Elise, plays for Crystal Palace. Boy, that guy can play football. He can play football. So I'm going to go Elise, Crystal Palace. Have I missed anyone? There's loads, isn't there? But he's a special talent. And no disrespect to Palace fans, I don't think he's going to be there that long, because I think he's a special player. All right, last question. Joan from Wales says, what's a sport you secretly love that will surprise us? It's true. Good question, because everyone thinks I just like boxing and football, and I get it. I do. Badminton. Your boy loves badminton. I'm not joking. Commonwealth Games, Olympics, I am sitting there glued to the TV watching badminton. I used to play badminton for years. So I'd say badminton, and another one that might surprise you, table tennis. Yeah, there you go. Badminton and table tennis. All right, guys, those are your questions. Remember, get your questions in. You can start getting your questions in now, by the way. You can tweet me, as I say, Ade Oladipo, _Oladipo1. Remember, hashtag it the Ade Show, or DAZN Boxing, hashtag it the Ade Show, and we will read as many questions out as possible. Get your questions in about any sport. Doesn't have to be football or boxing. As you can see, I spoke about the WWF, and I even spoke about badminton. So we cover everything on this show. That's it for the show, by the way. Thank you so much to all my guests. Thank you to Base the Kid that came down as well. Thank you to Alex Aljo that came down. We'll see you again on the Ade Show next week. Peace.